Fans of vintage Vegas, get ready to eat your hearts out. Introducing Las Vegas and Clark County Memories. This coffee table book offers an amazing look at everyday life during the mid-century era. Indeed, the subtitle is A Photographic History of the 1940s through the 1960s. This scrapbook is deeply satisfying for people like me who love today's Vegas but can't stop chasing after the Rat Pack era. Let's get something out of the way. Many of the old-timers who lived through this period reminisce about how the city was better off when it was run by the mob. The book's foreword addresses this opinion head-on. Celebrity historian Mark Hall Patton dispels the myth about the mafia as a progressive force for civil engineering. He explains that it's an understandable sentiment by a person who set roots in a small town that gradually became a big city. There are benefits and drawbacks to both communities, so without adjusting expectations, disappointment is inevitable. This issue makes for the perfect foreword, and if you're still wondering if there's such a thing as a celebrity historian, yes. Each of the 9 sections begin with an orientation by an R.J. writer. These overviews are remarkable in their succinctness. In Views and Street Scenes, Shay Johnson gives a summary of mid-century growth by describing the rise of the Strip, the development of the Air Force Base, basic magnesium, and the steady stream of tourists that came to see the dam. We quickly find out that while Las Vegas is the focal point, the book strongly represents Henderson. In particular, we see photos of the BMI town site. I personally adore the dusty photo of the Huntridge Theater. The urban landmark appears to have been built in an alternate universe which resembles today's Goldfield or Goodsprings. Naturally, there are lots of photos of downtown and the early Strip. It's gratifying to see people experience Fremont Street before the canopy. We also celebrate the birth of the Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada sign. And as we gaze upon an aerial photo from 1960, we have to remind ourselves that the city was similar in size to today's Carson City or Lake Havasu City. Next up is the transportation section. Where the Plaza Hotel now stands, we see the former glory of the Union Pacific Station. In a railroad town, this Art Deco gem was our stop. We also get a photo of an automobile dealership selling eye-popping classic cars. We discover that the original McCarran Airport Terminal was a beautiful work of mid-mod design. And if you haven't figured it out by now, I love architecture. In the Commerce and Industry chapter, many photos are shown of workers at the basic magnesium plant. Today, the Three Kids Mine has become an unplanned art installation. Considering what's left, it's hard to believe just how large the mine once was. This section also shows images of the African American community. We see Joe Louis in front of the Moulin Rouge, and another photo shows black gamblers at a row of slot machines. You'd be forgiven for missing what's odd about the photo. Everybody's standing. Isn't it hard to contemplate stools as a gambling innovation? It's true. Look at any old slot machine photo and you'll find that everybody's standing. In addition to the military photos that you'd expect, the atomic testing section shows JFK visiting the test site. Did you ever wonder what the tests might have looked like from Vegas? There's a great shot of the mushroom cloud as seen past the El Rancho Vegas. Seeing these photos reminds me of my tour of the test site. It was fascinating to visit the places seen in that old black and white newsreel. Talk about dark tourism. I recommend the tour to anyone with an interest in our atomic past. In the meantime, you can visit the Atomic Museum or have a hunter smash at Atomic Liquors. Under the Crime and Disaster section, we see crime scenes and photos of arrested people. Flooding plagued early Vegas, and we see shocking images of people wading through water around homes and cars. An American flag is seen imposed over a photo of daisies. Would such an image offend you? It was subversive in 1968 when David Fitch was arrested for showing it in his shop. Why? Desecration of the U.S. flag. The pages of this book contain a bunch of mini-stories that will force you to reckon with our city's past. At times, it feels a bit like a grandparent telling you a bunch of weird stories about what your parents did when they were young. The education section shows the Art Deco grandeur of Las Vegas High School. We see a segregated classroom in Carver Park. Between the West Side, Carver Park, and a segregated strip, folks are often surprised to learn that Vegas was known as the Mississippi of the West. And while Beauregard, UNLV's Confederate mascot, is absent, we see the UNLV campus when it only consisted of 3 buildings surrounded by open desert. Moving forward in time, we see the splendor of the UNLV library in 1967. Back in the day, I would marvel at the building's interior and exterior aesthetics. As an expression of mid-century modern architecture, I believe that people often take the school district's Edward A. Greer building for granted. When it comes to the remains of vintage Vegas, the Ed Shed is one of the most outstanding survivors. That said, my favorite photo may be the Las Vegas Rhythmats in front of the Hoover Dam. I still might pull that page out and frame it. The community section looks at civic and religious organizations. There's a fun photo of Jane Mansfield. Just in case you forgot that the Cold War was happening, there's a great shot of an under construction fallout shelter. I was surprised that this section features no photos of the LDS community. In the public service chapter, there are many images of various law enforcement groups. I have to confess that while viewing these photos, I couldn't stop thinking about the law enforcement convention in Fear and Loathing. One of the images shows the Sheriff's Aero Squad. People of color are underrepresented in these pages, which may reflect how the mid-century era was a rising tide that didn't lift all ships. That said, this section shows an NAACP event and civil rights activists. The closing recreation and celebration chapter is jam-packed. There are photos of swimmers, boaters, and fishers on Lake Mead. Sadly, you can tell that these images are old because the lake doesn't have a white ring around it. There are some fabulous photos of the Eldorado Parade. There's Elephant Rock in the Valley of Fire, and girls are seen taking camel rides in front of the Sahara. Sammy Davis Jr. is seen lounging poolside, and there's a striking photo of the Las Vegas High School Rhythmettes wearing bathing suits that match their water skis. As a photo that would comfortably appear in a pinup calendar, it's easy to forget that these are high school students. With this, it's hard not to think of this as the objectification of underage girls. There's also a precious photo of the All-City Marble Tournament. I'm not making this up. Marble tournaments were real. So the next time you see your digitally addicted nephew, tell him to turn off the PlayStation and pick up some marbles. What does this have to do with Las Vegas? I've consumed many coffee table books on Vegas history, and there's nothing like Las Vegas and Clark County Memories. This book shows everyday life during the time period when Vegas came of age. These types of books tend to recycle the same classic photos, so I was shocked at the enormous volume of photos that I've never seen. Who is this book for? People chasing vintage Vegas. Anyone with an interest in Las Vegas and Henderson history. Where can you get this book? Las Vegas and Clark County Memories was published in 2019. Authorship is given to the Las Vegas Review Journal. You can get the hardcover book through the Pediment Publishing website. When it comes to online options, you also may be able to pick it up through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Abe Books, and eBay. Links below. And if you're still on the fence with this, I link the book's trailer. People have a sense of romance for Palm Springs when it comes to the desert MCM thing. While Palm Springs retained that flavor, Vegas is always reinventing herself. That said, Vegas had it going on too, and this book shows it. Hey, not too many people know that we have a Donald Wexler Steelhouse. Google it. It's fab. With this in mind, it seems a bit odd that the book features no photos of Paradise Palms. Regardless, the quality of the images on these pages is outstanding. I imagine that the book would have sold more copies if it had a sexier title written in a vintage font. The $45 price tag is steep, but worth it for such a time machine. And if you're waiting for a price drop, the publisher has stated that there will be no reprints. Have you read Las Vegas and Clark County Memories? I love it, but what do you think? What was your favorite part? Is the book worth the price? Did you like this video? If so, hit the like and subscribe buttons. Do it as if hitting those buttons will enable you to go back to 1950 so you can buy land on the strip between Tropicana and Flamingo. Keep it fabulous. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.